Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Peter K, aka Trendcrusher. On this episode, I've got Daz from the mighty Benediction. They have a new album out this weekend, Ravage of the Empires. It's out on Nuclear Blast Records. We talk about that and a lot more. But before we get into my chat, I want to play a track by another UK act, Burner. Some of you may remember my chat with Harry from Burner from a couple of years ago. They have a new single out, City 17. Here's a quote from their vocalist Harry about the track. City 17 confronts the ongoing violence and cultural genocide against the Uyghur people under the Chinese Communist Party. The song aims to shed light on those atrocities and serves as a warning against the coercive tactics of authoritarian regimes worldwide. Really strong stuff. Here's the track, City 17. And that was Burner with City 17. Those of you in UK, y'all can catch the band on tour with Employed to Serve. Check their social media. I'll leave a link in the comments for more details. Now on to my chat with Daz from Benediction. Here it is. Hi Daz, welcome to the
Hi, mate.
podcast.
Oh, welcome. Thanks for having me.
So, we're speaking ahead of your ninth album, which is Ravage of the Empires, which is out on the 4th of April. But
Yeah.
how does it feel, first of all, now that the album's being ready?
Well, it's been a long time coming. To be fair, we've had this album written for maybe 18 months, but it took so long to record because Scott Atkins was so busy. We had to do it in bits and pieces. So we started recording last January. So it took us almost a year to record, which is nuts. So we're just glad to finally get it out, and we're super excited that people are going to start to hear it. We've had such a great reaction for the two videos, and we've got some great reviews in some of the magazines over here in Europe. So we're super excited to see what people think when it comes out.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk more about that shortly, but I totally agree with what everyone's saying so far, right? Because it really kind of, if you're looking for Benediction, then you get fucking Benediction, right?
Absolutely, yeah. But that's exactly what we intend to do. We're not trying to rip up any stones here or reinvent the wheel or anything. We just want to be the best possible Benediction we are, because that's all we know how to do. So
So, one quick thing I wanted to touch upon is you were, I don't know how you kind of look at it, what perspective, but you were one of the bands that actually released during what I'm calling now just the COVID years, right? And
yeah.
this album now comes 5 years after that in scriptures. So when you look back, like how did that kind of, or did that have an effect on how overall y'all wrote the music?
I don't know. It was kind of a weird time to record the last album, and to release it. It was I don't know. We did question whether we should have recorded and released when we did, but that's what they wanted us to do, and so we did that. This time is a bit different. I mean, it's still awkward for us, because we all live in such a vast area. We got Gio in Italy, we got Dave in Denmark, we got me and Peter in the middle of the country, and then Nick down in the south. So it's kind of awkward writing, but we're happy with the way it's all come together. We do it in bits and pieces, but we're happy the way it's come together, and let's see what people think, eh?
Yeah, and I'm glad you kind of talked about the lineup because now this is like the new Benediction lineup, so to say, for the last couple of albums. So since you and Peter actually are the main writers and now you're a kind of apart, how does that kind of impact the write? And how did y'all kind of adapt to this situation?
Well, you kind of have to adapt. The good thing for us is the advance of computers and God knows what. I mean, in the old days, we would literally have a microphone hanging in the middle of the rehearsal room. We would all get in there and jam some shit together, and then I would bring the cassette home and try and figure out what the fucking hell we were playing, because you couldn't hear it. It was so loud and distorted. It was difficult to figure out. So it's kind of easier now with computers, and the fact that we do live so far away from each other. Rui can, he can put his riffs down on his computer, send them over to me as sort of like ingredients, and then I can put it with my riffs that I've got, and we can kind of write the song apart, together, even though we're apart. It's kind of a weird way of doing it. It's not necessarily the way we want to do it, but it's kind of the way we have to do it. And again, with Gio being in Italy, it's not like we can jam with him. I have to put a drum machine on and program drums. It's a little bit awkward, but it's doable. It's doable.
Okay, and I'm glad you kind of brought up ingredients. So if you look at it, right, like metal is all kind of like making food or making a dish. So what would you say if you looked at Ravage of Empires as a recipe? What kind of sparked that? What kind of set off what we now know as the album?
I don't know. I think Benediction, we've just got a set of ingredients that we've always used. We like I say, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to be different. We're not trying to be the fastest, the most technical. We're just trying to be the best Benediction. As far as I can see, there's only one band that sounds like us. So we're kind of lucky that way. Me and Rui have one way of writing. We have one kind of riffs. We're a kind of riff making machine, but we only do it in a certain way. We don't, we haven't got blast beats. We haven't got this, that, and the other. So it's kind of easy for us because we have our own style, so it's pretty simple. But yeah, like I said, the recording and writing process is difficult, but writing Benediction songs is not difficult for me and Rui. And because we've been writing together for so long, we kind of know what's going on in each other's heads. And the fact that Dave came back, he kind of, when we bake the cake sort of thing, we send the cake over to Dave. Dave puts the lyrics exactly where me and Rui would expect the lyrics to go. So we're singing from the same hymn sheet. And on that respect, the writing process is quite easy because of that.
Okay, but at which point did you all kind of, since you said you all had started recording 18 months ago, right? But at which point did you all know that, from the writing process, like we're done with what now we're all hearing as Ravage of the Empires, and let's now get over to the studio? Or like, how do you all do it? Is it all like fixed and then you all go into the studio?
Well, we kind of we've got a bank of riffs, we've got a bank of ideas that we can call on. And when we feel we've got sort of like 10, 11 songs that we feel are strong enough, because we don't put songs on albums as fillers. A lot of bands will do 3 or 4 songs and then the rest of the album's fillers. We don't do that. We try and get 10, 11, 12 strong songs. When we feel we've got that, then we start looking at booking the studio. But like I say, this time it was really difficult because Scott is so good now. He's super busy. And we had to fit it in little bits. So although we had the 11 songs at the beginning of the recording, by the time we'd finished recording, they had changed again because we'd had them for so long that you sort of like, you listen to that bit and you go, hang on, that would sound a bit better with this added or this taken away. And again, when you're in the studio, you'll write the riff. And as you're recording it, you can sit back and just go, well, hang on, that needs something else. So even though you got the songs ready, you're never fully happy with them, never ever. Even now the songs are out, there's still bits that I would possibly have changed, and there's still bits I would change on Transcend the Rubicon and all the old albums. But at some point, you've got to let them go. At some point, you've just got to say, right, that's it, that's going out.
Okay, fair enough. Engines of War was the first single that everyone heard from Ravage of Empires. Was that a choice that you all made? What's different or unique about Engines of Wars? Did you think that would be the first single?
I don't know. I don't. We could have picked any song. The good thing about this album is that we all have different favourites week to week. One week my favourite will be Engines of War. Rui's will be something else. Dave's will be something else. The following week, we've all changed our minds. We've all got a different one. So from that perspective, this is what I'm saying about us having 11 strong songs. There's not 1 or 2 that stand out. We could have picked any song. I'm not sure whether it was us that picked that or Nuclear Blast. I can't remember. I think we wanted Crawling Over Corpses as the first song because that's just 100% typical Benediction. But I think it was Nuclear Blast that wanted Engines of War out first. But like I say, it could have been any of the songs on the album. I'd have happily released any one of them.
Okay, and I'd definitely like to play Engines of Wars for everyone tuned in so far. How would you kind of introduce or describe the track to someone?
This is again a typical Benediction track. It's not there just to blow your head off with pace and whatever else. It's there to grab you with a bit of groove. So yeah, I mean, if you enjoy all the fast stuff, then fair play to you. But this is mid pace. This is mid pace Benediction at its best.
Awesome. So, without further ado, here is Engines of War.
Enjoy. Disrupt subconscious beyond enemy lines.
And that was Engines of War. And I've got Daz from Benediction with me. Now, you earlier on in our conversation kind of touched upon your drummer Giovanni and bassist Nick. How did they kind of integrate and become part of the entire machine that we know as Benediction?
Nick, well, first Gio came in as a friend of Dan's when Dan Bate was with us because they were in a band together many years ago. I can't even remember what the name of the band was. But Gio came in and immediately impressed every one of us. He's an outstanding drummer, and he's also an idiot, which makes him fit in with us perfectly well. Um, and again, if you listen to the way he plays drums, he's a no-brainer for a shoe-in. But Nick was he came in as a temporary replacement on bass when Dan left, and he's an incredible guitar player. I mean, he puts me and Rui to shame, absolutely. So he came in to do a few shows with us just to help us out, and then at the end of the run, we shook his hand and said, "Thanks for everything, see you later." And he's like, "Well, is that it? Do you not need me anymore?" And we're like, "Well, you're a fucking super guitar player. What do you want to be doing this for?" And he went, "I've never had so much fun in my life. If you want me, I'll stay." We're like, "Absolutely, man. So stay where you are." But again, he's another idiot. So there's five idiots now, and it's perfect. And we're and the thing we got this tour coming up in next week of Europe on a tour bus. I'm 6'4", and I'm only the third tallest in the band. I'm 6'4", Dave's 6'5", and Nick's 6'6". And I don't know whether you've ever been on a tour bus. The bunks are 6 feet long, mate. It's going to be an absolute mess. It's going to trying to shoo us lot into a load of bunks, but I'm super looking forward to it, man.
Okay, I definitely have to ask you more about tour life, but we'll hold on that for a bit. You've seen a lot of bands do different kind of merch and things like that. You have a Metallica whiskey. I came across an AC/DC whiskey, but for some reason, I feel like you guys are still like the more working class kind of band. So I thought maybe a Benediction beer would be good. I don't know how much.
Absolutely.
I don't know how much beer you drink or what do you know about beer, but what would a Benediction beer be like?
Benediction beer would probably be a thicker sort of Guinness type of drink, or maybe an IPA, something strong, something tasty. None of that lager. It wouldn't be a lager. That your first drink when you're 15. Pint of lager, please, mate. It wouldn't be one of them. It'd be something a bit more refined, a bit more old school. But it would certainly have to do the trick.
Awesome, thanks. So I'm also curious, right? And I'm sure you've seen this since you kind of talked about touring with a band with a kind of legacy like yours. I mean, like, I have to be honest, right? I still remember listening to Benediction when I first started getting introduced to death metal, right? And it was with
Yeah,
bands like Bolt Thrower and stuff like that.
yeah.
Do you now, when you're touring, see people who are, you're like, wait, you guys weren't even born when we first started? Or do you see people who are
Well,
like much older now with their kids? What's that reaction like?
absolutely. I mean, you only have to look at Nick. I mean, Nick's he's not even 40 yet. We've been in Benediction 37 years. Nick's not 40. So it's very similar to that. But we get I don't know, has he gone? Oh, we get the same with the crowds now. But back in the day, it used to be the crowd was the same age as us. But now they're bringing their kids, the next generation. It's super cool, man, to see a 14, 15-year-old kid in a Benediction t-shirt. It's amazing that it spans so many generations. It's fantastic. I love it.
But at the same time, I mean, when you're talking about that, right? And since you're talking about 37 years, you've kind of seen death metal go from, the early days to then it being like in the 90s where it was everyone was like signing onto big labels and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
then it going out of fashion, so to say. And then you have like now technical death metal and all of that.
yeah.
How do you kind of reflect on that entire thing, right? I'm just
Well,
curious.
I kind of understand that the music scene has to move on. I get that the music scene has to move on, and I get the fact that people are trying different things. But for me, it's about sticking to what you do. For me, I like the mid-pace stuff. I like the Entombed. I like Master, Massacre. Them are the sort of bands that me and Rui are into, and that's the sort of music that we write. But I do understand that people have to change. What I do get disillusioned about is the bands seem to be more interested in outdoing each other with speed or aggression, or they just seem to be wanting to outdo each other rather than to make a good album. They just want to be faster than the previous band, and I kind of get a bit disillusioned by that. Death metal's there now; it's already there. We don't need to reinvent it; it's already there. So I wish people sometimes would just try and do the best album rather than try and, I don't know, try and shock somebody or try and be better or faster or whatever else. I just think the art of songwriting's dying a little bit with competition to be the fastest.
Okay, I mean, since you said that, I'm also one of the questions I had was, do you have time to kind of listen to current acts, or like do you still stick to the classics? Like, what's
No,
on your
I
playlist?
yeah, I stick to classics. I'm old school. I still listen to all the old school heavy metal. I'm a huge Judas Priest fan. I think the last Judas Priest album is, I must have worn that CD out like 4 or 5 times in the car. I still like all that old Saxon, Motorhead. I still listen to all that. That's still my favorite. That's still what I was into when I was a kid, and it's still what I'm into now. I do listen to the occasional death metal. Rui's on sort of, he's on this Spotify and Amazon Music or whatever else, so he's really up to date with all the new stuff. Me, forget about it. The last new album I bought was Painkiller, so I'm really not up to date at all.
Okay, fair. And you kind of mentioned this earlier, right? Like you've got and I'm getting this tour named right. Tales of the Triple Death Tour we've got with Jungle Rot and Master. Again, like two
Yeah,
very similar bands, but other than, trying to fit into the bunk beds, what else are you looking forward to at least?
I'm looking forward to the camaraderie of the bands first and foremost, because although being on a bus is difficult, you got socks everywhere and undercrackers hanging from this window, trying to get aired, and then you've got somebody's shoes as you're trying to go to the toilet, so you'll fall over someone's shoes. All that's awkward, but the camaraderie when you get off the stage and you get onto the bus and you crack a few tins open, you start telling stories and having a laugh and discovering each other and what your moods are and whatever else. That's the bit I look forward to. As for gigs, I mean, there's no better feeling than standing on stage in front of people while they're singing your songs back, or while there's, a big smile on their face. So the gigs is the best hour of the day without any stretch. And meeting the public, meeting the fans, and that, that's fantastic. I don't do all this meet and greet. I don't like all that business where people have to queue up to get an autograph. I find that really pretentious. I'd much rather just get a beer and walk out into the crowd and just mingle and talk to people, and so I'm looking forward to that as well. So it's been a while since we've been on a tour bus, but I'm super looking forward to meeting the boys and getting out and meeting some of the fans.
Yeah, and I also noticed that, you guys are quite busy this year, right? I mean, especially you're heading over for the Maryland Death Fest in May. You're doing a
Yeah.
tour around that in US. You'll have Wacken. What more can fans who are tuned in, what more can they expect?
Well, there'll be a hell of a lot more gigs. Once the album comes out, then the people will be breaking your door down. That's the way the business works. As soon as a new album comes out, all the promoters want to book you and get you in. But we are actually in discussions with a guy in, I think he's in Manila, that we're going to do Southeast Asia and Australia, New Zealand, hopefully next summer. Those plans are actually in action right now. So I'm kind of hoping we get some news on that pretty soon, because I would love to come down and play that part of the world.
Yeah, and Australia, I don't know why, because I keep a track of it. It's just like back to back, like getting so many acts coming in. I mean, like Metallica is playing there in November, and I'm like, what the fuck? So it's like everyone from the smaller bands to the bigger bands are kind of going in. But
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of there's a lot of interest down there at the minute, and it's been a long time coming. So let's get the Benny boys down there.
okay, and this is like again, we kind of touched upon this, but I feel that especially for bands like yours, right, like who've been through so many of these cycles, which I call just like cyclical, right? And when it comes to culture and music, uh,
Yeah.
over 3 decades later, what keeps the band and you going as Benediction?
I think the fact that we're honest and we're true and we're metal believers. I mean, Benediction never got together to be famous. Benediction never got together to make money. None of that business. Had we got to get together to make money, we would have broken up many, many years ago. Benediction are together because we still get a buzz out of every gig we play. We still get a buzz out of every record we release. We still get a buzz every time we meet a fan. It's incredible. I mean, 37 years on, and I still get excited when I get offered a gig. And it's the same with all of us. We're a bunch of brothers. We're a bunch of idiots that we're lucky people, man. We're lucky. We get to travel the world. We get to meet a million people, and we get to play our music to people that seem to be enjoying it. So we're in the best seat in the house, man. And the longer it goes on, the better. We have no intention of stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, and that I think is music to everyone's ears, right? Because I'm sure there's so many countries that and so many places that you can do. Before we end this chat, Daz, you kind of mentioned that you had a favorite of the album. So why don't you pick that one and tell us everyone why that's your favorite, so we can play that on the episode.
Yeah, I think my favourite at the minute is, like I say, it changes every week. But the one favourite at the minute is Crawling Over Corpses. And that is purely because it's just typical mid-pace Benediction. It's typical mid-pace sort of riff picking. And, you know, we've done the riff similarly on various other albums. And it's just a groove, man. I love it. You know, it's not necessarily fast. It's not necessarily super technical. It's just cool.
Awesome. So if you haven't heard it already, here's Crawling Over Corpses.
Overwhelming
And that was Crawling Over Corpses. I've got Daz here. Daz, thanks so much for this
Hello.
chat. Final words
No
for everyone
problem.
tuned in.
I just want to thank you and everyone that's listening, everyone that's ever bought a T-shirt, a CD, anything. I just want to thank you for supporting Benediction over all these years, and we really appreciate everything that everybody does for us, because without you guys, we're sitting at home, working on shitty jobs and doing nothing every weekend. So I want to take this moment to thank every single one of you.
Cheers, Daz. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you very much. Much appreciated the support.
And that was Daz from Benediction. Really enjoyed speaking to him. And if you liked the couple of singles that we played from Ravage of the Empires, do check out the album. It's out right now on Nuclear Blast Records. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes. Got a few episodes in the works at the moment. If you want to know when they're out, follow me on social media. Search Trendcrusher, or you can even follow me on the podcast platform that you're listening to this episode on. That's all from this episode. I'll see you all soon. Cheers.